something that I know is near and dear to your heart, Alan.
Yes.
Musicals. If you would put up the story. I by the way, I'll tell you about myself. I am a fan of Wicked. Wicked is a prequel to The Wizard of Oz. It tells the story of the Wicked Witch of the West and how she became wicked. I have seen the stage play 4 times, and I am straight, by the way. I love this story. And here's what a nerd I am. Before we talk about this, I'm watching this epic story. It's so good as the stage play I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, why couldn't the story of Anakin's turn to Darth Vader be as good and deep as this? Because they go into her friendship, how she goes wicked. You understand her side of the story. I am not looking forward to this movie. The trailer, I've seen every trailer, and it just, I'm really annoyed by it.
Yeah, I've heard things, and we'll talk about it later, but I've heard things about the development of this project that has that continues to turn me off more and more to this. And like you, I have seen, I'll say this, I fell into loving Wicked. My wife was listening to the soundtrack over and over and over again. And finally, being the dutiful husband I am, I took her to see Wicked and realized just how good this musical is. So I'm on board with you.
It's one of the best. I have a bootleg DVD of the play. That's how, and yes, and like I say, I've been 4 times. Want to repeat, I'm straight. And also, so I've seen it a lot, and it's amazing. It's a great story, and it leads directly into, and even crosses over with events from The Wizard of Oz, which is one of my all-time favorite films. Watched it as a kid with my family. It was an event way back when, with a big bowl of popcorn in a steel bowl. It was, we'd sit around, I mean, it was amazing. Like it was, and so the fact that it respects Wizard of Oz, it changes nothing about it other than you understand how the characters got to where they are.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Yeah, also should say that I've heard people complaining about the movie Wicked being another story of a villain's redemption, and I'm like, well, this play took place 20 years ago. I believe it was based on another book.
It's based on a book.
The story was there for decades. That's like saying, oh, the Bible. It's yet another story about the Bible.
Right. But okay, so we're both fans, and I'll say, based on everything I have seen, I am dreading seeing this film, and they have not advertised this. It's a 2-parter. I mean, the play is, like, to be fair, 3 hours. Most plays are. There is an intermission in the play. I mean, how you make 2 movies out of this? I could see one long movie. Fine, 2.5 hours. A 2-part movie? I am dreading seeing this. But now here's a controversy. Let's get into it. Cynthia Erivo criticizes Wicked poster being fan edited to hide her face, calls out, "Is your green?" It rhymes with wussy green, memes offensive, and it degrades me. Again, she makes it all about her. Before you read this, I know the story. It's the poster that fans have done is based on a redo of the poster from the play where her eyes aren't seen. Her face is obscured, right?
Right.
So anyways, if you would, Alan.
Well, let's even add more context to it. Red lipstick, and there's a smirk on her face. It's a very devilish smile. And this looks nothing like that poster. But here we go. Cynthia Erivo is speaking out against Wicked fans who used Photoshop to edit one of the recent posters from the upcoming film adaptation of the Broadway musical. Universal released a Wicked film poster this month that evoked the original Broadway poster, with Ariana Grande's Galinda whispering into the ear of Erivo's Elphaba. Only the film poster had a few tweaks, mainly lifting Elphaba's hat so you could see Erivo's eyes. Wicked fans loyal to the Broadway musical flooded social media after posters dropped to issue Photoshop corrections, with Elphaba's hat being lowered and her lips getting the bold lipstick in order for the film one sheet to exactly match the Broadway one. Erivo found such alterations hurtful. This is the wildest, most offensive thing I've seen, equal to that awful AI of us fighting, equal to people posing the picture, is your pea green? Erivo wrote on her Instagram story while sharing one of her photoshopped Wicked posters with her face covered. None of this is funny. None of this is cute. It degrades me. It degrades us. The original poster is an illustration. I am a real-life human being who chose to look right down the barrel of the camera to you, the viewer, because without words, we communicate with our eyes. Our poster is an homage, not an imitation. To edit my face and hide my eyes is to erase me, and this is just deeply hurtful.
Okay, all right. So there's the quote. I think she's hypersensitive.
Yeah.
I think perhaps be grateful that you're in the position you were cast in a major movie that will be
popular Broadway musical.
Yeah, and you're a part of a larger thing, and to make it about herself. I just, I'm still not a fan of this casting because it blatantly makes, while the original made a veiled sort of reference to race, this now blatantly makes it all about race. And it's about really the friendship of these two characters and where it went awry and why she became wicked and vilified. And it's a really well done. The story of the play that I know and the book are excellent. This film adaptation looks to go. I don't have high hopes.
Yeah, I agree with you. First of all, Wicked is beloved by millions. Millions of people have seen Wicked, and I believe it's the early 2000s that this came out. So we're talking close to 20 years of Wicked. People have loved this play over 20 years, and what people forget about fandom is when you've got such a following, the people who've seen it feel like it's ours, that we own it. And to see what we loved and the emotions that we felt about this play kind of be altered and changed in ways that force us to kind of disconnect from what we loved. I don't know. Maybe Hollywood has been having a trend of doing this with certain IP, but they're literally taking Wicked out of the hands of its fans. The thing about Wicked and what they're doing with it is Elphaba. The reason why people love Elphaba is because she is different. If you're a person who's ever lived on this planet, you have had those occasions where you walk into the room and you feel different from everybody else in the room. But this is a universal feeling that we all have. And based on things I've heard, interviews I've heard about this, it is no longer about a person who walks into a room and feels different. It has become racial now. Right. It's about a black person who doesn't feel comfortable in a white world, which ironically you have black people in the background of the cast, but this is just an indication of that. And for Erivo here to make these statements that this denigrates me, this is hurtful to me, it's the ultimate form of narcissism. And it's, I don't know what it is about actors, but it's like she has decided that this role is mine and mine alone. And things that I've heard about the development of the movie, because they brought back Stephen Schwartz, they brought back the original writer of the book, and they've made changes to it. They've made additions to it. And the sense I get, and at CinemaCon, I heard John M. Chu talk about it, how Erivo kind of stepped into the role when she stepped on stage and breathed it in, which gets you an indication that I think she's bringing her Black experience of being different, of being, prejudiced and marginalized into this role. And every indication I get is, she's taken this character, made it her own, and if you don't like it, you're a racist and you can go to hell. And that's the feeling I get. I'm not looking forward to this film.
I'm not looking forward to it either, and that's not what the original play is about or the book.
Yeah,
it's an allegory for racism. Now it's
it's an allegory for prejudice. It's an allegory,
allegory
for not
prejudice, right?
And that's something everyone feels. That's the thing, and that's why this play resonates with so many people, because we've all felt this way.
Yes, so it's an allegory. You're right, for prejudice. Now it's overtly about race, and I think I think it'll still probably be a hit. Okay, they even did a Lego version of the trailer, right? Which I saw before, Piece by Piece, the Lego documentary about Pharrell Williams. I am dreading seeing this, and this is not going to help.
Let me tell you about hit. Okay, so let's just pretend we didn't say anything about race or anything like that. I'm going to tell you why. So far, I'm not feeling good about this movie. Again, big fan of musicals. One of my favorite musicals is Into the Woods from Stephen Sondheim. Disney did the film adaptation of Into the Woods, and it is horrible. Right. And after watching Into the Woods, I realized there are plays that belong on stage, and they don't belong in movies. Into the Woods was one of them, because what Disney did was they created a fantasy world, a CG fantasy world where this world exists, which is fine. That's what it should have been. But once you place people into this fantasy world, you are removed from the intimacy you get from the play. And so the magic of theater is just lost now. I'll say the same thing about Les Mis. I'm not a big fan of the Les Mis musical, partly because they hired actors who could sing, but not singers who could act. Russell Crowe. Let's pull that one out. This one feels the same way. It is so cinematic that you're going to lose the magic of theater in Wicked. And that's why I think I will be surprised if it is a hit. And I think it will call into question whether or not the part 2 is a good investment. That's going to be my prediction.